Hey, watercolor artist, you are gonna love this scene. I can't wait to paint it with you. This is the iconic hike in the park. The Narrows, it's amazing. The canyon walls, guys, we're gonna do it all. Today, I am using a 4, a 6, and 8, and then I also have this flat, cheap-ish brush. This one is just for lifting the edges of the canyon walls. The sketch, guys, it is not super crazy complicated. The link to this is in the description if you'd like to trace it, along with a video of how to do it. And that is 100% free. I have a palette passport for every month. It is July and we're heading into national parks. Okay, I'm going to erase because, okay guys, we're all set. I have the colors on that palette as well. And you can see I'm going to use phthalo blue for the sky because I'm just trying to keep a little turquoise in. And I'm going to do this wet on dry. I'm just doing a little gradient and going down towards about here where we have the tops of these far back sort of canyon structures over here. Keep in mind this is going to get a lot lighter, so we want to make sure we've got some blue in there. Swiping it with my number 8. I'm going to do a little bit more at the top just so we have a little more obvious gradient there. And then bring that down. I'm not going to worry about clouds. If you want to, you can lift out some clouds with a dry brush. Perfectly fine. Okay, and I'm going to wet, but not touch this edge here. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to wet all of the canyon walls, all of it right now. And we're going to have a little bit different, and I'm going to do just a slight bit. I don't need this drenched at all. I'm just covering. The base of what we're going to do is use our peach. This is a mix. It's kind of a peachish red. I have that in the guide, what I use to mix the colors. I'm using Daniel Smith paint. You use whatever you have. I have also in my palette guide Cotman student grade equivalents. Those are excellent paints as well. The paper is going to make the biggest difference to you, and the color is a bonus if you can get the professional grade. The student grade, though, like I said, is great. Some of them, Cotman being one of them. Okay, I'm only doing the walls. I'm leaving the water and the rocks. So for a peach color, like I said, I'm working with Pyro Scarlet. I mixed in Naples Yellow and a little bit of Hansa Yellow Light. I'm just gonna start dropping in here, but avoid the edge a little bit. Go ahead and drop. We're going in here. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do after this. But right now we're washing in everything. So let's go ahead and get all of this. Cool, the area back here, guys, it's so amazing. And we want to get that idea that it's way in there. Okay, I'm going up to the edge, but I don't want it to mix too much. Being careful there. Okay, I'm getting this in here. And we're going to be going through all of this in different ways. Different colors. We're going to even do saran wrap texture at the end. It's going to be awesome. Because you can leave a little white in some spaces. You can overlap. We're starting to establish that there is going to be rough texture in some places. Lots of cool things going on. I'm making these a couple of these jut out a little bit here. And then this is where this one goes across here. And then this one. Now, on this side wall, on the right side, the sun is coming this way and it's going into the slot canyon. So we do want this to be a little more of a red. If you have a burnt sienna, and I'm even going to mix that in here now to where I already put in, and then I'm going to do that straight in here. We're going to do that darker concentration. I'm leaving around the rock that I made. That darker concentration with the orangey and the red in the front here. And I have another layer that's going to come down over here. Okay, and I'm gonna do that same color over here. I'm just, in my brain, I'm trying to keep them, the lines sort of separate. I'm gonna do that same kind of orangey red over here. And then we're eventually going to do some saran on this and do even darker. I'm gonna get that all the way down here. Okay, and then while we're here and we have that, let's go in with that scrubby kind of brush. Dry it on a paper towel and go back and just take a little bit of that. See, that's making a little line there. That's great. That's what we want. We just want that to be a little highlighted at the edge. And let's do that same thing here. And then we're gonna do the same thing right here. Lift that up. Okay, while this is still wet, I'm gonna make it even a little darker over here. And that I'm gonna bring up to the edge so that we're having, this, see this orangey color, darker than it was. I'm gonna add a little red to that as well. Have this edge that is standing out. And then I want that back here too, so I'm gonna do that over here, see? It's just gonna give it a look like it's popping out a little bit more. I'm just really doing loose strokes here. I'm just trying to give the hint of all this and see how this side is darker over here. We're gonna go through stages where you're thinking, Karen, what is going on here? What are we doing? But trust me, it's going to come out amazing. Leave a line here because this one is here too. Okay. Now I want you guys to get your shadow color. So to get it, I mixed this wall color with a Payne's Gray to give it a bluish, shadowish color. And I'm gonna put that right over the top, and we're gonna do this again. So here I have a line coming down that I'm gonna leave there. And then here is where we're gonna come in with this shadow color. You see that? And I'm just gonna go across and down and just kind of like it's got a shadow from the other side. And then I'm gonna bring that down into the water, probably between these two, like right here. And then we're gonna have some more peach over there. Now we gotta get that here as well and all the way through. So grab enough of that and we'll darken that a little bit too. And then one cool thing we can do with this, we can use our lightening tool again, which is that paintbrush. And we can drag across to take out a couple of lines in there. So here's what I'm gonna do, like maybe the lines are gonna be going all the way across the canyon, slot canyon there. Dry it off and then make a couple of lines just to show some texture on the wall. Okay. Now we're gonna get into the back a little bit even lighter of our original sort of peach. And I'm gonna put these back here for the farthest back edge of the canyon. This is gonna be darker when it goes on top, and then there'll be a couple of these here and to here, and then across, horizontal. Now we want, for this one, I have it in the palette mixing thing, but we want to put a couple of shadows here too, pretty stark shadows, and I mixed in a little purple for this. So remember, the sun is coming this way, so we're going to do the shadows coming this way as well on the left-hand side. And then I'm going to also do some of that across here on this one and up here. And down, across, and maybe a couple lines in there. So that's really, we're just showing that those are back there. While that is going over there, I'm gonna add a little bit more of our original peach and put that on the walls on this side, but not as dark as the over here. We're still keeping this fairly light. And then into that we can add maybe some little cracks or some underneath areas. See, I just did a little darker concentration of that. Maybe we want to make it look like it's going kind of back. A couple of lines here. I'm just adding things the way I think they should. And then we can do a couple of lines sort of to carry it over from that shadow. A couple of lines in front. And maybe one here to show like this is a larger rock. I'll crop there. Okay. And then we definitely want to have some of this over here. And it's pretty sharp. We want this to be a line to differentiate between this and the way back. So let's make sure that's a line here. And kind of a hard line. We want that to show in there. Okay, let's let that dry for a minute and we'll come back. Okay, I've got my number 6 and I am going to add a couple of lines. Let's do like I have a darker, I added a brown into this original mixture. I added a raw umber. And then I'm gonna do that same thing that I did over here. And let's do, let's make a couple of like rock shadows. So we see there's some things that are like outcroppings. This one that's here, I want to make like a really, let's see, that there's like a little under thing there. And we need some lines and things in there to kind of show like how much rich texture and everything is in there. This one can have like a long line. You can just add some, we can make lines going here, kind of going back the way these are. A couple of lines there. We might want to make one under here. This is, I'm going to use a little bit lighter brown here. And go under. And then we're leaving this for last because we have something with saran that we're going to need to wait dry for a while. So I'm just leaving this for now. We can strengthen in some of this orangey area too down here. It's definitely time for that. This was our darker reddish and we can leave that front. Remember guys, we're going to make it, see that right there? I left that. We're doing that so it looks like it has a little sun on the front. Same thing with this one. See how we have this really dark? I'm going to add this next to it. Use my brush to soften that harsh line. And then this is where I'm leaving it open. So as if the sun is there, see? A little bit hitting on there. Like coming down from that direction. And we can do that all throughout here. I need a little bigger. I was using a 6, but I need an 8 just to cover more. Because if you find yourself scrubbing your paper, you probably need to go to a little bit larger brush. So you're not scrubbing to fill in a whole area. And then this comes out too. Let's make this come to a point. Just like the other one. And we're going to use this as like even more in shadow. So we're going to put some more of that brown in there. Down under here. I'm grabbing some more of the raw umber. And then also under the point there. Okay, and then I'll probably put a couple of lines going through a little bit. Lightly though. And a couple more spaces. Super fun. Guys, it's already looking pretty cool. What do you think? I had a rock here. I'm going to do that now. It's the front of the rock is a little bit darker because it's in the shadow. And then the lighter, I'm just going to lighten the top of it a little bit and then put it over here. that one kind of a little bit light. And then we're gonna put this darker part at the sides, and that's gonna give the illusion of that rock. And I'm coming up here. You don't need this if you don't want it. I'm gonna make just a couple of things towards the front. These are gonna be cool enough down here. I'm gonna put right now a little Payne's Gray at the bottom, so it really has the darkest at the bottom there and really dark here. And these little ones that I might be adding in here, little rocks. Maybe something going across here. So our darkest values are where the hardest shadow is, and that's gonna be over here. And while I have this darker color, I'm just gonna strengthen some of my darkest shadows up here. And it will be coming back again, don't worry. Don't you even worry. But for now, I wanted to get some more of those in. And then anywhere you feel like you need a little more depth, little lines in here. While I have this, I'm gonna go ahead and strengthen that one on the other side, that shadow a little bit more too. So get your, like a Payne's Gray and mix it into your peach mixture. And that is what we're doing over here. We need it even a little bit darker. And I'm gonna kind of avoid these lines that I made, see? Let's avoid these guys so that they pop out a little. The striations in the rock, amazing guys. While I have this darker brown, I'm just outlining the bottoms of a couple of our little river rocks here. This is the Virgin River. And I'll do the side of that rock and up here. I don't want too many. I might make one over here. Could make a little baby one, a couple baby ones over here. Okay, okay guys, I took a little even darker reddish brown and did that for this close one here. Left another line. Let's go ahead and do that now. And I'm taking that wet, stiff brush and pulling a little line there. So that one's in front. And then that helps us define this one behind it. And we're gonna do something even on top of that. But I did wanna put in a little more reddish there. And while I have that, I'm gonna just, because this is pretty dry underneath now, I'm just glazing over that little. Glazing is like a really thin layer. We're just putting in a couple of places here now. So really dark, we have that, and we're just putting in a little reddish underneath in some places where we really want a shadow. And then like a couple dark spots in here. And guys, we're not gonna do too much more fussing with it. Let's get the water. So I'm gonna use my 8 again, and I've mixed a real turquoisey blue. So with the green and the yellow in there, the thing is in the recipe's in the palette, passport. And I'm gonna do this super light back here. I have a really light wash of it, guys, really light. And I'm too impatient to mask out everything, so I'm just going around the rocks. And then as we go forward, I'm gonna add a few stripes in there. And we're gonna put some reflections over here and behind the rocks. And then we're almost done. It's looking gorgeous. I may do like a little stripe of sap green. Just in here as I'm doing it, see? Just a couple, we don't need a lot. And then I'm going back to this color. I'm going to just touch it up to here. I don't really want it to go over that. Can overlap a little. This is the little edge there. We could. Look, actually that's a happy accent. Okay, let's do over here. Hey, look at that turquoise water, you guys. I'm so excited. Okay, get the turquoise. Now, I'm getting that, and I'm gonna add a little more sap green to darken it. And I'm gonna add the tiniest touch of Payne's Gray. So this is what we're doing over here. Because look, like these are all like over here, these are all coming off like, you know, these are pretty major shadows. So I'm gonna add those across. We have to show that that's really shadowing all that. and keep it pretty, like, stopping right at the edge there. So pretty good. We can also do that under the rocks, and we'll do that over here a little bit too. So get some more of that. So you had your watercolor, and then you mixed in a little Payne's gray, and then I'm gonna do that over here too. See? And then that's gonna make it look believable. Guys, I just wanna go back. I'm feeling really like I wanna go back now. Okay guys, not much left to do. Let's take some raw umber and strengthen some of the shadows on the rock. So I'm just gonna hint that it's underneath. I'm finding a couple of places where we could really just make the coolest finishing touches. So let's do that. I'm getting a glaze. This is all dry now. I'm just getting a really thin wash, and I'm gonna add a little bit of a sort of reflection in here. See? And I have, it's just a little bit of that original like reddish color, and let's do that over here too, just a little bit. And I really want to get that idea that it's red, so I'm making sure I get a little of that rusty color in there. Okay, I let it dry overnight. Let's take a look. This added some texture, but not a ton. At a larger area sometimes works better. Let's check this one. Yeah, that added some cool texture there. I wanted to point out too that I took a small brush and added just a couple of sprigs of a little bit of greenery around there. Guys, next week we are heading into Yosemite for a wildflower meadow. I think you're really gonna like that one too. Thanks so much for coming, guys. Keep your mojo flowing until next time.